Sorry, y'all. I'm dumb late today. Look, it's still new. The show is still new. So give me some grace as we maneuver and I get, you know, this going all the way. But we are here today. Second episode of the first week of the show. We back. Office hours with Izzy Baker. All right. I hope y'all doing all right on today. So this again is a show for those entrepreneurs looking to build something real. And again, you don't have to be a full entrepreneur, full-time entrepreneur, part-time entrepreneur. This could be somebody who wants to eventually be an entrepreneur in some way, shape, or form. You feel like the mindset is there for you. You just ain't there yet. And you don't want to get there. It's for like-minded individuals. So, you know, so let's get into it. You've seen the title. The problem with everybody wanting to be a CEO. So I have been noticing this thing. Everybody wants to be the boss. And, you know, it kind of piggybacks off of yesterday's conversation about validation because you want to be the boss, but then you need validation. Can't have both. You can't want to need validation from everybody. And then, like I said, want it and then simultaneously want to be in control because then you're not going to be able to do it. You know, everybody wants to be a CEO. They don't want to be the worker. They don't want to, they don't want to learn the game. They don't want to master the skill. They want to be the CEO. They want to be the top dog. Everybody wants to start a brand, launch a business. They think they got the skill set to do it. They think, if I do this, I'm going to be rich tomorrow. Again, I think I said that yesterday, but it takes much more than that. We're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about it today. People really don't want to do what it takes to build. People don't want to start from the bottom. You know what I'm saying? Again, we talked about Tessa Thompson yesterday and some other stuff. Everybody want to just come out the gates popping. You want to come out the gates popping. Now, let's move to the first segment for the day. And this is the culture check. Now, culture-wise, there is a little show that is known in the culture on the Zeus Network, and it's called Baddies. And the CEO of the show, not the network, but the show for sure, is none other than the infamous and famous bad girl, Natalie Nunn, who started from the bottom. And look how long it took her to be making out. I mean, granted, I think she's been making like millions and stuff, but like she didn't come out the gate making that type of money. She probably had good money, but everybody wants to run something. Everybody, but nobody wants to actually, I feel like, put the work in. And people feel like if they do it today, like I said yesterday, they should be blowing up tomorrow. Let me watch this quick video from her, and I want to hear y'all take on it because um hold on, I want y'all to see this video. Um it's very, very, very short, like a few seconds. And it's everybody wants to be there. Hold on, y'all. And this was about live TV.
You're
Oh,
not
there you go, there you
building
go,
the
there you go,
brand. You're fucking the brand up. But you
Okay, so I think it was playing. I hope it was playing. I know it was playing at the end, and I know it just kept going in the loop. It wasn't the longest clip, but it was Natalie Nunn from Baddies and Bad Girls Club who was just talking about messing the brand up, right? You want to be the CEO, you messing the brand up. So when we talk about wanting to be the CEO but messing your own brand up, what does that look like? If you have, hypothetically, of course, I had to check myself. So I have, obviously, we know the PSA, the Mental Health Podcast, and I have the live stream and now the talk show. Now, although those are really, I mean, this is technically still have mental health elements. Those are really rooted in mental health, right? And one thing that our show preaches is accountability and having hard conversations, right? And saying the things you need to hear. And then we'll do that here as well, right? But the issue I had is sometimes I've learned, which I'll actually be doing a podcast episode over this season, this upcoming season soon. I have a excuses for the weak and incompetent, but I tend to not always, not necessarily run from conversations, but I believe that sometimes with me, and I'm tying this all together, I will just kind of avoid conversations about with certain people because I already have put in my mind they won't listen, and a lot of times I do be right. But in the same breath, if my brand is to be accountable and to have those hard conversations, I can't run from that. I have to even though they ain't gonna listen, you have to at least say, well, you know what, I tried. They don't listen, then it is what it is. But at least I can say I tried, and because if I'm avoiding it, then it's against my brand. Do people really want to put the work in? That's another question we have to ask. So when it comes to what she was like, and the situation she was talking about was totally different, but it was a quick soundbite. I do feel like we were able to grasp that a lot of different times people want to have the title. People are more, they made an idol of the title. There we go. They made an idol of the title. And they just want to say stuff. A lot of times we do things, and I think the older generation was like this too, but people just do stuff because they sound good. Like, oh yeah, I can say I'm a CEO, I'm an entrepreneur, but how so? You know what I'm saying? You have to set your own hours. You know what I'm saying? You can't just do, I mean, you can set it up like a 9 to 5, and I do think it's beneficial, which I'll have an episode one day about, the beauty of having a 9 to 5 before becoming an entrepreneur, so you can kind of get understand how structure works. But all who everybody want to be the CEO is, like I said, nobody wants to put in the work. Nobody is willing to do the hard stuff. Nobody is willing to go the extra mile. That's why when you want to be an entrepreneur, you want to be a business person, somebody who is not interested in a lot of things. If you're gonna halfway do things you don't care about. And it's like that's why they tell you to look, what are you interested in, what gets you going, because you because if you're doing something or in a business or in a brand or have some go and you're doing something where it's not something you love, you're gonna halfway do it. For example, I grew up playing sports, right? Sports was cool, but it wasn't really my thing. Like, it was cool. I'm glad I played all the years that I did, but it was cool. So for me, I was always halfway doing the extra drills and the extra steps and the extra, all those things, the extra dribbling and all that stuff behind the scenes, or when I had free time, because I looked at it like a chore versus it's something I have to do. With podcasting, right? I'm unintentionally, studying my craft when I just have interviews just on in the background. You know what I'm saying? Or even as an entrepreneur, you watching videos, learning how to get your own business going. And I was watching videos as a ghostwriter, on how to, go up, do your ghostwriting stuff, especially when I first started. And now it's just like a lot of things I know, but I'm still learning. And I think that this generation, especially the culture, prioritizes, like, they look at people who just like in their mind, they just came out of nowhere. But even in Natalie Nunn's case, granted, she had this name for a long time. She's been working for 14, 15, 16, like, she's been working for years. So although you can talk about her, you can't say she ain't a hard worker. And now she kind of can pop her stuff a little bit. Now, not saying you should be arrogant and not saying you should be prideful, because the Bible goes against that. But in the same breath, you can understand why somebody would act like that. Let's go to the next segment, which is the reality check. Now, let's do the reality check for a second. Being CEO isn't always just about leadership. Leadership is a big part of it, right? Everybody can't be a leader. I also feel like when it comes to leading, you have to know when to, there's chiefs and Indians. Sometimes you have to know when to be an Indian and not necessarily trying to lead and run. So there are moments where you have to kind of sit back for a second. The main thing with being a CEO is about responsibility. It's about risk. And I think that a lot of people are afraid to take the risk. It's about carrying the pressure that other people don't see. But I also believe it's about doing the things that people won't see. When we talked about yesterday, the vision, right? When it comes to having that vision, there are things you'll try to go about that some people just like, I won't see it. Going back to Patty's. Although it was inspired or, nobody saw her vision. She saw it, and look at it now. Now, is it the best, representation? Not so much. But hey, at the same breath, there was a vision there. People want to skip stages. They skipping stages. They want to skip steps. There we go. They want to go from step 1 to step 8. They didn't take the 2, 3, 4. And a lot of times I've seen a post and it said it takes 10 years to become overnight success. Y'all not even in year 2. Y'all won't even make it to year 2. You know what I mean? And it's like, but you want to be the CEO. In my case, I'm in year what? About 8 or 9. You know what I'm saying? I feel like I'm just starting to see real success. People don't want to get learned under nobody. They don't want to take, they feel like, oh, I should blow up today. They jump from thing to thing. When this don't take this pop like it should, they over here. When this don't pop like it should, they over here. They're going with the wind, and not in a good way. Because there's a good way to be going with the wind. And a good way. They never master a craft. A jack of all trades is a master of none. But here's the thing, people, I feel like also don't talk about it enough. You don't become the CEO just by saying it. Although I do believe in being a little delusional, and I do believe in speaking things before they happen. You have to actually build something that works. If I would have told people I was going to have a ghostwriting service, first of all, I don't know too many black male ghostwriters that are lit like me. But if I would have told the people this when I first did it, and then I said, I'm going to be doing this, they wouldn't have believed me. But my daddy planted the seed for the ghostwriting service many years ago. Obviously, it's since sprouted, going from a homework business to now writing social content for speakers, leaders, and professionals. Still podcast producing as well. But all of that podcast, ghostwriter, social content, all that good stuff, all that stuff is under the same umbrella. Social content podcast still under that. So, doing things I love to do. Podcast ebook coming soon. When? I don't know, but we got to speak it out there so then when it actually happens, so you heard it here first. All right, y'all. Let me get into the quick little story time. Now, something that I've noticed when it comes to this. Well, I want to talk about another friend today. Yeah, let's do it. So, this is my thing. I've heard people, what irritates me or grinds my gears is when like people be sitting around at these lunches and these brunches and they sit up here and they talk about, oh, I'm going to be rich. I'm going to be rich. I'm going to do this. You won't be saying that when I'm a billionaire. You won't be saying that when I'm a billionaire. Well, how you going to do that? You going to marry rich? You going to get pregnant by a rich person? Because here's the thing, I won't shoot anybody's dream down, even though sometimes I don't be seeing it with certain people. But one thing I do notice in certain people is their work ethic. That's what I notice. Is one friend I have, he started his podcast, and I mean, I think he has something there. I've suggested some things with the title. I didn't like the title. He sees the vision for it, and I just gotta let him have that. But one thing I can say about that man, he's a hard worker, and he's putting the groundwork in. He's a little all over the place, but at least he's staying consistent and he's working. A lot of y'all are not working. Y'all say y'all are, but y'all are not. So as for me, I don't take any of y'all seriously, and that's why when they have those conversations with friends with the brunches and the lunches, at the brunches and the lunches, it's hard for me to take y'all seriously because I'm like, you're not serious. I'm looking at what you're doing. You know, yesterday we talked about people who need validation. Even that person that needed validation. Guess what I can say? At least he's working. You know, and this will be a testimony of him later down the line when he's able to say, you know, I used to need validation people. Now I don't care what nobody thinks. You know, but at least I might not agree with how they're doing things, but they're working. When you start a business, that's not going to get rid of pressure. Something else we got to add. Pressure is going to multiply. Because say, for instance, like my case, I was a teacher, right? For those who are new to me from this angle versus who already knew me, you know, I was a teacher for all them years. And then literally the school I worked at shut down. May 23rd of this year will mark 3 years full-time entrepreneurship. And for me, it has moments. It's been dry. Have I had to borrow money? Absolutely. I got some debt right now. That's all right. God gonna wipe it out supernaturally. I don't know how it's just gonna work. I'm saying it live here on camera because I believe it. But what I have noticed is this. And we'll do an episode about building a team. But I'm gonna ask this: when you talk about being a boss, when you talk about being a CEO, are you ready to run a team? Are you ready to deal with revenue? Are you ready to deal with growth? Are you ready to deal with customers? You know, and sometimes other people's livelihoods. For me, technically, I only have one person on my team. Will I be able to get more? Probably at some point. I'll probably move into paying him for my editing for my YouTube, and then for the podcast, and then I'll probably look into adding somebody else. You know, got to get your money up, but it's getting up. You need the responsibility, y'all. It's all about the responsibility. Okay, so now let's get into the next part. So I have another video I want y'all to look at. This one's not as vulgar and it's a little longer. So let me share my screen and then we're going to talk about it.
Go in at 10 in the morning and work from 10 in the morning until 3 in other departments. And I would gain skills in those other departments. And then I would go work in my department, right?
So you're volunteering?
I was volunteering at other things, right? And so, and people don't want to do that, which doesn't make sense to me because we'll go to school and pay to go to school, but we won't volunteer to get skills. And that doesn't make sense to me, right? But for me, I was always on, let me get the skills because you can never take that away from me, right? So I did that, and then I started using those skills to improve my department and do things in our department that other people couldn't do or didn't want to do, right? So at some point, there was a promotion announced. So at the time there was a promotion announced, everybody gathered around, everybody said, oh, TJ, congratulations, bro, blah, 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 blah. And then Mike ends up getting the promotion. I was devastated. When the promotion was announced, it was like, oh, that kind of a thing, Yeah. And so at that time, I was like, man, I was like disappointed. So I called my mentor, told him, he laughed at me, right? He was like, well, it sounds like it's time for you to go.
How did you transition to becoming a?
Now, let's talk about that. When it comes down to he got let go, He said he learned all these skills, did all this for this job, and then he was devastated when now he didn't get let go, but he said it was time for him to go. But he was just saying how, like, he did all that for these jobs. And I'm big on taking off. I'm big on telling people, like, hey, you should just call in. Why not? People be like, oh, it's not like I got nothing to do. Might as well go. You got all them days. I don't get that, especially when people like, I'm like, well, stay home and do. Especially young people, because I feel like y'all got all them days, especially in education, because all them days don't roll over. So all them hours that you had allotted, you don't use, you could have just used. I don't get it. But I was just like, y'all, I guess y'all a little different than me. I'm not letting you got them hours that you might as well use them, right? But this clip touches on something important. I want to say something about is entrepreneurship is not just ideas, but he used those skills to when he finally did become his own CEO. And sometimes it's that defining moment. That's what it is with everybody. What I feel like being an entrepreneur, especially if you had a regular job. Like I said, my defining moment was when the job shut down. Schools never do that. His defining moment when he got passed up and he told his mentor and say, it may be time for you to go. You could be, your defining moment might be a job you get. Every job you go to, you get into it with everybody. And granted, you're probably doing something wrong too, but then some of it is just, I feel like God's saying, this ain't for you. Here's something that puts things in perspective. I got that. It says about 20% of business fail within their first year, and roughly 50% fall within 5 years. So we talked about business falling yesterday a little bit too, and but even when it comes to within the first 5 years, I believe that you have to, again, we always usually what you're called to do is what you're good at, but in the same breath, sometimes I feel like we do stuff that, oh, I'm good at this, I'm good at everything. Like people like, I can do this, I can do that. What do you like to do? And what can you see yourself doing for a long period of time? Because here's the thing, this show, my podcast, my ghostwriting service, the live stream, all those things are very tedious. But because I like what I do, you're cool with it. Think about it like that. When it comes to wanting to run something and be over something, what is it gonna do what is something you love to do that even when the hard parts and the tedious little moments come, that you'll be able to still do it? And I think a lot of people overlook that. For example, I talk about this, I use this reference all the time. People who are content creators with video games, right? They love playing video games, but it comes with rough moments. Some of these people have to beat some of these people have a deadline. They have their own deadline. I got to beat this game in a matter of 8 hours. I don't play games like that to beat them in 8 hours. I buy a game and I kind of like let it play just to enjoy it. I don't, some people probably got like that Resident Evil Requiem game. I still ain't beat it yet. I'm towards the end for sure, but I know when some people got it, what was it? Was that February? It might have been February. I think it was February 27th. Some people did it within that day, the next day. I'm not doing. It's not about. I don't care enough about it. Discipline and consistency will get you far. That man had discipline and consistency like no other. Even when he was overlooked, will you be able? How you feel when you get overlooked? How will you feel when that happens? Because that will happen. You have to grow into leadership. It's not something you just speak out loud. Although I do believe you need to speak it, although I do need to be, you need to be a little delusional, but still, it's not just something that just happens. All right, y'all. So now let's make the call. So for today's make the call, let's talk about it. Here's the takeaway from today. Being the CEO is about responsibility. It's not just about status. And before you worry about becoming the CEO, you should focus on becoming someone who can actually build something that works. That's my thought. Then build real results. Okay. So my question today for you all is, when it comes to you want to be a CEO, this is what you said. I'm just going on what you said. You want to be a CEO. What's something that you would like to build? And then who's already doing that? Somebody's already doing something you've done before. They might not be doing it how you're going to do it, but there's somebody that's done what you've done before. Keep that in mind. All right, y'all. Thank you for another great episode. Back to back. See who I think I am. Next episode, again, remember the schedule is Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday. So we'll have another episode Friday morning. Thank you, Lord. Thank y'all. I said thank you, Lord. Thank you, Lord. But thank y'all for tuning in today. Again, if you're an entrepreneur minded, trying to build something real, then make sure you subscribe and join us for the next conversation. And remember, the goal isn't to just say you're building something. The goal is to actually build it. I'll see you in the next office hours. Y'all have a good Wednesday.